here's my review of Crime 101. This is a movie that it's really fascinating to me simply just because, first things first, I wanted to say off the bat, I think that this is a good movie. But I remember watching it, and at the end of the movie, or even really part of the way into the movie, and I hate saying this, but it kind of feels like a streaming movie. And I think that this is a movie that I think you could skip watching in theaters. But I will say that when it comes to Prime Video, you should definitely check it out because it is a solid movie. Where in this movie, we follow Mike Davis, played by Chris Hemsworth, who is a master jewel thief. And he's kind of wants to give it all up, but he wants to do one last heist. And there's a bunch of like other side characters. Like we have Mark Ruffalo's character chasing Chris Hemsworth's character in this cat and mouse game. And I think that all the performances here are really good. Like, I think Halle Berry is great in this movie as she plays this insurance broker who she keeps expecting a promotion, and every single time they're just not giving it to her. And you could kind of see how it almost makes her want to pursue, like she is a good person, but in many ways she kind of wants to almost pursue crime because she's not being treated fairly at her work. And I thought that was fascinating. I think that she's great in this movie as well. I really want to give a shout out to Barry Keoghan, who plays Orman, who's just this like motorcycle cyclist thief who he's not like he's a main character, but he's not in the movie a whole lot. But I think that every time he's in it, he just steals the show. I think that all the interactions between Barry Keoghan and Chris Hemsworth are just great. You could tell like why Barry is becoming this up and coming like actor because he's still very young. I mean, but he's just great in almost everything he's in. I'll admit I haven't seen him in a whole lot, but everything that I have seen him in, he's always just so good. And it's no exception here. He's great in this movie. He's just like this sleazy like criminal, but he's somehow really just fascinating and always fun to watch because you could tell because he's kind of in over his head in what he's doing, but at the same time it just makes his heists go just wrong and makes him very entertaining. And because this movie is a crime movie where Mark Ruffalo, who's playing the detective chasing Mike, I think that his character is very good as well. You could tell how he's kind of that character where he's like, oh, I've been doing this a long time and people aren't really respecting me, and he really wants to catch him. And he's doing a good job tracking him down, and I found his side part of the story pretty engaging as well. I think that he was great. I think there's a really great scene where Mike is basically impersonating a driver and is driving Mark Ruffalo's character, and the whole scene is just filled with tension. From like each little conversation, you know that like, okay, it's only a matter of time till one of them gets exposed. And it just kind of, the whole scene is just very intense and very well done. At least I thought it was great. But you could tell like Mark knows that Mike is guilty. Mark knows that, okay, this is our guy. And Mike is suspicious, but he doesn't know if he knows. And it just kind of puts this like, oh no, okay, what's going to happen next? Just like mood within this scene that just really elevates it. But I want to get back to what I was saying earlier and talking about like is this like a streaming movie? And I think like this is a movie, like I said, I think that you can skip it in theaters, but I think that when it comes to streaming, that I still recommend that you watch it because I still think that this is a good movie. I think that they do a lot of like interesting, unique stuff here, like where Mike's character, Chris Hemsworth's character, Mike, he's an interesting character as a thief because he's almost very polite. And when he robs you, like it's intense because, of course, Chris Hemsworth is a big guy. And you know, like, and he's, whether he's pointing a gun at you, but in many ways, like being very polite. Even when he kidnaps, he's like, "Oh, there's water in the back. You'll be fine." I think it just kind of provides like a unique. It provides for a unique antagonist, even though I mean he's our protagonist, or we're basically following the villain. And I think that this movie really excels through its characters because I think the plot itself isn't really super, like, it's good, but I don't think it's as intriguing as maybe it thinks it is. But I think that all these actors are giving such great performances that it really carries it. And I like, though, over the course of this movie, you could really see Mark Ruffalo's character, Lou, I think, which is pretty funny because Mark Ruffalo also plays the Hulk, and then Lou Ferrigno played the original Hulk in the original 1970 show. But so I just thought it was funny that his name was Lou. But I really just like how you can see how obsessed Lou is on this case, even though his boss is like, just stop, move on, and how it's really just like eating at himself because he can't seem to solve it. I think that just makes for an interesting character. I'll say it. Like, I really thought Mark Ruffalo, who's, I've never really been super impressed with him as an actor. I thought he was pretty good in this movie. As for Halle Berry, and I think that it's really the performance. And I know some people hate, like, because really what I'm going to say is, like, I think it's one of those movies where if it wasn't for the actors in this movie, and if they weren't as good as they are, it just wouldn't be as good. And people talk about how, like, the movie star is dead, and yeah, it's pretty dead. And this movie is not doing well financially, so it's safe to say that. But I do think that this is a case where I think that because I like these actors as much as I do, that it really does carry it, because not only are they good, but they all bring their unique sense of charm. So I just want to say, just end with really just a couple things. Like, positives overall, I think all the characters are great. I think that the performances are great. I think that there's a lot of really good action in this movie, especially through Orman, Barry Keoghan's character. And I think Barry Keoghan, personally, I found to be probably my favorite actor. Like, his little story was probably my favorite in this movie. And this movie isn't, like, super high stakes, and I don't think it does anything amazing. So that's why I think it's a movie that you could probably just wait to watch on streaming. But I think that if you were already interested in this movie, I think you're going to enjoy it. I don't think it's a great movie, but I think that it's good. I definitely recommend watching it at some point. If you want to go and see it in theaters, I don't think that's a bad idea, but like I said, I think that you could wait for it to be on streaming. But I do think that you should eventually watch this movie because it is solid. I think it is pretty good, but I think there's quite a bit of flaws here that just hold it back from it being great. It feels like it's a great movie trapped inside a good movie, because I think sometimes the movie goes on for a little too long. It's a little over 2 hours, and I think you could have trimmed around 10, 20 minutes off this movie. Maybe make it like 2 hours on the dot, or maybe even 2:05. But I think that there's a little bit of, some of the plots I think go on for a little too long. But overall, this is a solid movie, but I just didn't think it was great. But the performances, I think, really excel at making it a pretty good one.